So if someone thinks that they are allergic to gluten, and what would they do, and how would they tell the symptoms?
So the hard part is that when you have like stomach problems, it can be so many different things. So usually what you do, the symptoms typically are like abdominal pain, like diarrhea, constipation. It kind of depends on the person. But I was having really bad stomach pain, and so I went to the doctor, and then they did a blood test. So you can get a blood test, and it checks for the antibodies, and that's a really easy way to do it. But some people can have raised levels of the antibodies and not have celiac, so you have to then get an endoscopy. So that's like the tube down your throat. They take a sample of your small intestine, and it's a really easy test to get. I mean, it doesn't, you just kind of go to sleep and like wake up and it's done. But the blood test, like my little sister she was tested for it because she was having some stomach pain. She didn't have it, but that's a really easy way to get checked.
Okay. So, let's see. I had a question, I forget it.
Places I go.
Yeah, there was one that I was going to ask from what you were just talking about. Oh, yeah, so lately there's like the fad to go like gluten-free, like really popular. So would you say majority of the people who, when they go to restaurants and they order gluten-free, is there a big portion of the population that actually need gluten-free food? Or do you think a big percentage of those people just want to eat gluten-free but don't need to?
Yeah. So you can have an intolerance. So like I said, you can get tested and you can have like a higher level of the antibodies, but that doesn't mean you have celiac. So those people, they can have gluten, but if they were to have like a huge plate of pasta, it might bother their stomach. And then the thing with celiac is like it's a disease instead of an allergy, so it's like more serious. And then there's the people that think that not eating gluten is healthier, but if your body doesn't create a response to it, it's actually not bad at all. And I think a lot of people just think that it's really bad for you. But obviously, like, eating a huge plate of pasta isn't going to make anyone's stomach feel good. So I think there's that too. But I think a lot of people that just want to be gluten-free, I just think it's like an easy way to eat healthier, because like most of the foods that do have gluten, typically when you're eating out, are the foods that aren't as healthy. So I think that's like an easy way for people to like eat healthier. Instead of saying that, they can just say like, oh, I'm eating gluten-free. So that's probably.
And where are some places around Columbus that you like to go eat that are gluten-free?
There's actually a lot. There's a really good pizza place called Harvest Pizzeria, and they do gluten-free crusts, and they're so good. And then most chain restaurants have gluten-free menus, but you have to be careful if they do shared equipment, because some people can't. Like when you have celiac, like sometimes you can't do that. It just depends on the person. So like, I'm sure Olive Garden has a gluten-free menu. And then typically like the smaller, trendier places like tend to have gluten-free stuff. So yeah, it's really not that hard to find stuff.
Okay. Last thing, how has you kind of talked about what your eating habits are, but did it change drastically the past year, or what would you eat before and compared to what you eat now?
I think I actually eat a lot of the same foods, because there's so many gluten-free pastas now that are made from like chickpeas or like corn or whatever, and they taste normal. So I still have like pasta and stuff like that. Bread is really hard because it just typically isn't nearly as good, and the shelf life is a lot shorter. So I don't ever eat sandwiches anymore, which is like very sad. And then breakfast, eating out for breakfast, or like even I can't get a bagel anywhere, and I think breakfast has been the most, like, I tend to eat dinner food for breakfast now because it's so much easier than like trying to, you know, substitute something for a bagel or like cereal.
Okay.
So that's probably the biggest difference.
And summing it up, I think some people are so confused on when they hear like gluten and gluten-free, like what that even entails food-wise. Like how would you define being gluten-free? Like what does that mean?
So gluten is in wheat, barley, and rye. Those are the main ones. So wheat would be anything, like any sort of refined wheat. It's not, it just, even if it's refined, like your body still can't break down the protein. So gluten is a protein, and those are the main things. But the hard part is that wheat is used as a thickening agent in a lot of foods. So I'm trying to think of an example. Like soups, for example, they would just like, they'd be thickened with wheat a lot of times. So you just have to be really careful of, it goes by a lot of alternate names on labels, so you have to like know the labels, but those are probably the main things.
Okay. Anything you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it.
Perfect. That was pretty easy.